Hello, everyone. Welcome to Qobuz Live on Thursday. Glad to have you here. It has been an exciting week for us. Some of the things we've been working on, I won't be able to tell you about, but there are some really, really cool things coming up for Qobuz in the next few weeks. So keep your eye on social and on press releases, and I think you'll be, really surprised. We're going to tell you a little bit about what's going on, currently, and maybe in the very near future during the show. But today is a little different show. Um, we decided that we wanted to do a show that was really, really focused on the people that are already Qobuz subscribers, people that already listen to Qobuz. And we're going to do a show today. It's called Ask Us Anything. Hi, Scott. Glad you're here. I've got Dan Mackta with me, and he's our managing director. He's going to be helping me answer some questions, and we'll bring Dan on in just a second. But here's the thing: ask questions, interact with us. This should be the most interactive show that we've ever had, because usually the first thing I tell you is, look, we're not going to be able to answer everybody's questions. There's too many, and we've already got a lot of ground to cover. We try to get to as many as we can, especially if they're relevant to the conversation of our guests. But today, this is pretty much anything you can. That's why we're here. We want to. Maybe help enhance your enjoyment of Qobuz, maybe show you a few tricks that you don't know you can do with it, and just kind of make it all about you. We really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for being Qobuz subscribers. And there's really, believe it or not, enough people out there in the United States that says quality is the most important thing to us, for us to do just fine. We'll never be a Spotify. We don't want to be a Spotify. We want to be Qobuz. We want to specialize in the finest reproduction of music possible. And we want to always have our mind on the most important thing to us is what has always been the most important thing to us is sound quality. So while all these services are coming out with, HD and HR and high res and super audio, or whatever the next term is for high resolution. We do straight high resolution. We try to pull. No, we don't try. We pull no tricks. It's our service starts at 1644 and goes up to 192 kilo 24 192. And it's all bit perfect. So there's no ambiguity about the service. It is what it is. It's kind of like a race car that it's built for performance. That's what we do. That's the most important thing to us. And what we're finding is there's a lot of people out there that is the most important thing to them as well. So we're going to be giving away 3 6-month subscriptions today. Um, and it will go to, in fact, Neetha will put up a link. She may already have done it. You'll click on the link, and then you can enter to win 1 of 3 6-month subscriptions. So that's kind of what our show's about today. Thanks for joining us. And at this point, I would like to bring on our own Kool-Aid man, Dan Mackta. Dan, you around there, buddy? Hey, man, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Well, unlike most of the guests, we've been on the phone about 14 times today in meetings and that kind of thing. So about the same, doing fine, except today was just like it never stopped. It was just kind of a blur. So I'm kind of glad to be on Qobuz Live with you now, because this is a fairly relaxing time for me. How about you?
Well, every day is kind of a blur to me. They all are running together, and I don't really know if I'm coming or going. And that's just the nature of the times.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's always something to do at Kobo's. One of the things that you can be assured of, or you wouldn't be, probably having very good service right now if it weren't the fact. But we've got about 6 of the most dedicated people I've ever worked with on the Qobuz team. But that's who's powering you in the United States. Of course, we get the back end, the front end from France, but everything that we do in the United States is done with very, very few people. One of those really special people are producing for us today, marketing assistant Neetha Veraporn, and thanks very much for doing that for us, Neetha. And Dan, I've never seen someone that has so many meetings every single day. So I appreciate you being here. I know this is taking away time that hey, get out of your fall cabinet. I know you're looking at your next meeting. Thanks for being here, man. Really.
You know what it
So
is I do have my phone here. I'm trying to do things right by not having a lot of apps and things open on the computer. So, it's undivided attention.
yeah, something I always do, but I didn't do is put my phone on silent. And so you've probably heard of you. Beep, bloop, bloop. So we're going to talk a little bit about uh, what we're doing right now, what's coming up, what's new. We're going to talk about some shows that we hope to be attending this fall, um, and uh, and so we're going to let Dan start this off because Dan is our managing director, and he really gets things straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So Dan, just tell us, like, where are we now? Where are we going? What are we looking at doing in the near future? What are things that we're not looking at? And let's just give a basis for everybody to just start asking some questions, and we'll get to them. We've actually already got a few really good questions up. So go ahead and we'll start getting questions.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what are we not doing? Well, we're definitely not bringing back lossy MP3 streaming or really bothering with that at all. That's yesterday. We're focusing on today and tomorrow. You guys know that Qobuz is a really small company. When I read these questions that say, why don't you have this that Spotify has, or why don't you have that Tidal has? I can usually answer, unfortunately, in I don't know how many words it is. We'd like to, but we're so small. We'll get to it soon. How many is that? 17 words. That's the answer. So the uh, biggest frustration we have in some ways is that we are so small. So improvements and changes take time, but by the same token, we're doing some really incredible things for having such a small team. And I do think that everyone, both here and in France, is super dedicated. And some of the things that we have been able to do have been really wild. We're punching above our weight. If you knew really how small the company is, I mean, I run the whole thing off a Commodore 64 computer. Is our main server. No, it's I'm just kidding, but it's really uh, inspiring to be part of a community. Both, see, now there's my phone. The team and the people who put Qobuz together, and the audience, our consumers, our users, and then on top of that, or behind all of that, all the artists and creators. It's been really great. So the short answer to where we are is we're 2 years old in the U.S. Last month we celebrated our second birthday, and it's just been going really well, really well. We're still here. We're growing according to plan. Certain things are doing even better than we planned. Our download store is doing great in the US and shows no sign of letting up, which is really the opposite of what's happening in the industry overall, where paid downloads are diminishing enormously. Uh,
Yeah,
so
I'm having conversations with people a lot on the side. People are, PM me or whatever, or just have a personal conversation. And I think a lot of people are getting the message that this is really good for artists. And I've got just a really good feeling that people are buying these downloads, and at least this is the way I hope it's going. Buying the downloads to support the artist as much as to actually own the the music, although it's really nice to own the music.
Yeah, people say, well, geez, if I stream from Qobuz, can I save a stream and listen to it on a bunch of different devices? And of course, you can't do that. That's not streaming. But you can buy music from us and own it like a file, and put it on any device you want, or a USB stick, or to do whatever you want to do. You own that file. That's a different model. It seems like common sense, but that's like a 10-year-old model. So we offer both, and Qobuz is the only service. I defy you to find a service like ours that offers a full genre, full catalog streaming service and a la carte download store with high res, 24-bit supported across both models. That's just us. So that's pretty special.
Yeah, it is. And not only that, on the download store too. I mean, not to make this a commercial, but these are things that we kind of think people will be asking anyway. Not only that on the download store, but the prices are outrageous. They are so inexpensive. Even the standard prices, which you don't even have to be a member of Qobuz to download high resolution. This is the place to do it, because we're typically 15-20% lower than most of the people out there. But then if you have a Sublime membership, which is about $25 a month, you're getting huge 24,192. Neil Young, 1099 for Harvest. That's crazy. Just a couple of years ago, we would have been paying 30, 40, $50 for that one download. So we encourage you to support your artists by doing downloads, or you may want to own your own music. But I'm so proud of that too, Dan.
But the growth of streaming and our own business in the U.S. has also been really, I don't know what the word is, exponential, I guess. If you look at a curve, I mean, we did double the new subscribers in the U.S. in 2020 that we did in our first year in 2019, and we're on track to do another big increase. The word is getting out, not only among audiophiles, but really also among people who didn't even know last year that there was such a thing as audio quality and something to even want. So we've really felt it going from being a lot of push and kind of pushing a rock up a hill to, now we're pushing a rock up a hill, but maybe there's a little bit of pull, just the ever slightest bit that we're starting to feel, where the market is catching up to where the cutting edge, which has been the audiophiles and the early adopters, it's getting there, which has been really great to see. And in terms of our product and our apps and our roadmap and everything that we do, I mean, there's some basic things that we know people are asking. I already see the questions coming up. So some of them are easy to talk about. I mean, when you want to know what we've got planned for 2021, we haven't announced anything, and please don't consider this an official announcement. Don't hold me to this. I hate seeing the things, in 8 months they're going to say, well, he said on the podcast, he said that they were going to have it by spring. Actually, I anytime I've promised something by the end of a season, I've made it. Usually maybe by like one day, but we always make it by the season. So anyway, take what I say with all due skepticism, but I know that people have been wanting a radio feature on Qobuz since
the beginning of time.
And as we start to reach more and more people who are used to mainstream streaming and used to being able to kind of turn something on and lean back and let it play, it's an expectation. It's not as easy as just saying, yeah, let's have a radio function, especially with Qobuz's unique editorial outlook and different audience. It's something that's actually been worked on for over a year, and that is something that we'll be launching before we do another one of these Ask Me Anythings. I can tell you that. They're definitely it's planned for this year, and hopefully you'll be pleasantly surprised how soon you get it. And similarly to that, some algorithmic personalized playlists, and really just a little bit of putting the uh, what do they call it, the wisdom of crowds. Qobuz is a pretty unique community of music listeners, so all of the algorithmic stuff that we do and recommendation stuff that we're going to start to do is going to come from both the data we get from our own users, and then a bunch of different outside sources. So it's taken a while to get it together, but one step at a time. Again, I say we are so small. The guys who are working on this are the same guys who are working on keeping the service running every day. So unlike some of our bigger brethren, we just don't have thousands of engineers to throw at these problems. We're a small privately held company, and it just takes time. But those are a couple of things that people are crying out for. That it'll be nice to be able to say we got them.
So here, let's start the whole thing off then, because most of these other things I think are going to end up coming up, but we are getting a ton of questions. So let's go ahead and start it out, because I think this first one you're probably going to be able to answer a little better. From
all right. Well, I just answered radio feature.
Yeah.
And volume normalization. Well,
right.
Listen, when I started at Qobuz and I said, guys, why don't we have volume normalization? What I was told was audiophiles don't like volume normalization. The our core audience doesn't want it. So, we were just serving the market. However, the average user doesn't want to listen to a playlist that's quiet and then blows their ears out. And every other streaming service is applying some kind of volume normalization. We did add volume normalization analysis and info into our database. So we've taken initial steps to be able to offer it. It's really just a question of how do we implement something like that doesn't screw up the music and doesn't do anything to annoy the people who would never want any DSP whatsoever.
Yeah,
I think make it completely optional.
I think the general consensus at this point, at least when I talk to the guys, is there'll be a button that you can enact it or take it away.
Yeah, but when, I don't know, but it's a known, feature that we know people want, and
so we're not going to just take the fun questions, guys. We're gonna if you got a question for us, we're gonna try to get to it. But that was the first
fun questions. Please do.
Yeah, and know too that a lot of the feature questions, just like Dan said, we're never going to be the guys that have got the most features. We're just not, and we're always going to be the guys that are probably a step behind, like on things like radio, because we are so focused on making sure that this system works correctly and that you're always getting the very best product at the end of the day. So let's go to our next question. Let's see. Facebook, this is a really good one. Sup, Facebook user, we're glad to have you here. Let's see. Any plans on getting us in the Apple TV like Tidal has? Dan, that's another one for you, buddy.
Yeah, sure. Let me work on it.
We're all
listen, Apple TV is one. I'm sure I saw someone asked about Fire TV.
Yeah.
Roku, Android TV, Samsung, Comcast, there's a million places to have an app. Many of them will not support FLAC. Some of them will support FLAC. I mean, we're looking at every available opportunity to grow our distribution and also give more options to our subscribers.
Right. So we've already looked at a couple of these too, right? And there was a huge deal out there, but the box couldn't do the resolution that Qobuz does. And once again, just like Dan said, why would we want to do something like that? There are other services out there that are specialized in that kind of thing. But if it ever comes to a point that they're going, oh, well, we're just going to downgrade your quality because, we can't do it. That's not really us. That's not really our profile. So we'll be on as many of these things as possible, as soon as possible. At the beginning of the show, I didn't really say it for this reason, but know that there are about 6 people that are doing everything that Qobuz has to do on a daily basis to keep us just going. Um, so we are all full out, and every day we're hopping on opportunities like that. And hopefully we'll be in one, then another, then another. Right now, I don't see that happening in the next couple months. Do you, Dan?
No, the set top and OTT is, I mean, we've got stuff brewing for this year, but I don't have a date, but absolutely on the list. We get the request 100 times a day. And yes, we know Apple TV supports FLAC. We know Apple TV supports 24/48. We know every single thing you guys are posting. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it kind of does, except the Apple TV. They resample everything. It's better than Bluetooth, but when you go into an Apple TV,
But now when
everything is resampled to 24/48. Everything, no matter what it is. So everything is in somewhat resampled or manipulated some way.
So anyway, here's one in terms of the things that we have launched that maybe you didn't know about. A family plan. We launched this. I thought we did a whole campaign. Maybe we need to do some more advertising of the family plan.
So you
All of
did.
a sudden, I'm feeling, geez, maybe our campaign wasn't that good. Maybe, but
Yeah,
the
so
family plan launched in the U.S. first, and then recently launched in our other markets. I'm not 100% sure it's available in every single market we're in, but that's a great value, and we're trying to push it because the idea is, you know, get your family members into high res. The only way to do it is give them a subscription and let them hear it and get used to it, because it's a process that once you get addicted to it, you can't go back.
yeah, and so I've told the story a couple of times on the show, but it's really apropos at this point. I turned my son onto Qobuz when I first started working at Qobuz, and he was not real happy. He was a Spotify user, real happy with that thing. Half the reason is like nobody likes change. The only people that like change are wet babies. So at any rate, I'm going, no, hey, look, I work for this company. You're gonna support it. You're my son. And begrudgingly, he said, okay. And so 6 months later, I call him into my office. I've got these big Martin Logan speakers just on the other side of my desk. It's just a super high resolution system. And I'm going, so Noah, I want you to listen. Because the first time we did this, I said, listen to the difference. And he goes, Dad, I can't tell any difference. They both sound really good to me. And I'm going, well, okay. But I knew what was going to happen because I've been doing this a long time. So in about 6 months, I call him into my office with these big Martin Logans, just an awesome system. And I set him down. I'm going, hey, buddy, I'm going to play you a couple of things. Tell me if you can hear the difference. And I didn't even tell him what it was. We put it on his favorite guy. I put it on Spotify to begin with. And then I put it on Qobuz. And he's going, oh my God, that's so much better. And he learned what to listen for. The funny thing about people that are listening for high resolution on a internet forum or whatnot is they're doing it one time and with a 30-second clip or something, and you really just it's really hard to get the emotion of a song in a 30-second clip. But once you get used to these millions of details that you've been missing, and they're small, tiny details, but added up together, they're really, it does make a significant difference. And that's the difference that Noah heard. So yeah, get your kids on the family plan.
High
They'll
res,
appreciate it.
high res is a life choice, lifestyle choice. It's not a quick 30-second thing. You got to commit to it. So there was a question about searching by genre, and I thought Phil was a power user, but I guess not. In our desktop and our apps, there's a genre selector. It's also in the mobile apps. And if you choose the genres that you want in that genre selector, the search only will return results in those genres. So if you want to search, the blues artists who've released albums that have the word blues in them, you could do that by selecting blues, and then, or blues albums by people named Junior, whatever it is. If you put it in the search box, the results will only include blues, and that basically reconfigures the whole store, every aspect of the store, with just the genres you pick. So that's another really unique thing about Qobuz. The other thing that you're seeing here that is a new feature, and we do release updates to these apps pretty frequently, with a lot of the changes and updates being kind of under the hood and things you might not necessarily notice. But one that everybody's noticed is the introduction of the dark mode on desktop, which was launched yesterday. Super easy to switch back and forth. You just click on your name on the upper right of the app, and of course the mobile apps have had dark mode for some time. And I guess a lot of our users are super depressed because they just want everything black all the time. But this looks great, and we release updates pretty frequently, like I said, and some of these other huge features that people are looking for, soon come, as they say down in Jamaica. The other thing that people ask about all the time, especially since some of the other services have launched something like this, is a title. That's those guys. Qobuz Connect type feature, where our Qobuz app would control, any device you point it at or connect it to, which we would love. I mean, what would be greater would be all the functionality of the Qobuz app and all of our content and everything presented it just the way we like to, and have it play out of whatever device you want it to. Huge engineering lift, and something that I would love to say we're going to get done this year. We're starting to look at different ways to do it more seriously. It seems like this has been the direction the industry is going. So it's on our list of things that we will do. I just can't tell you exactly when.
Okay, Reese, thanks for joining us. I've been using Audio Urbana, but recently switched to Rune. I'm curious how to display high res in Rune. No badge makes it hard to find. Yeah, there's a setting. I did mine early on. I'm trying to think of the setting, but
it's in the settings. It's how you display. There's no badge, but it will show you the bit depth and sample rate for every album in Rune. But it's in the settings. You can get it.
Where you're not going to see it, which I found a little unusual, but it really doesn't bother me so bad because I'm really there for the music first and the resolution second, is on the very first page. You'll start seeing the graphics go by without resolution.
They updated it. Make sure your Rune is up to date, David. They fixed that, and on the Qobuz pages, they're showing the details on every page.
If you didn't work me so hard, Dan, I would have probably already known that. This has been a crazy week, like one of those 12, 13-hour days every single day, and this is one of the first weeks that I have hardly listened to any music at all. So yeah, that's how to do it. Just go into your settings and you'll see it there. And plus, for those of you that are using Rune, if you're, I would suggest, we have a sister site. It's called the Rune Users site. A guy named Neil Small runs it. And man, they do a fantastic job of answering all kinds of little questions. I've never really quite seen anybody work so hard for free for so many and just be totally dedicated. So any of your little Rune questions like that, either go to the Rune community, which is quite good. But if you want a little more personal, use the Rune user group, and they'll be able to answer all of these questions. And the smallest questions get answered too. I'd like to just thank those guys for the service that they provide for nothing. So go there, thank them very much for their help, and they just do it out of the kindness of their heart.
Yeah, we like Rune.
This is a good one. Oh, this is a really good one. Yeah. Maxime Fermi, thank you, buddy. Are you afraid of Spotify high res offer coming soon?
Well, we would say high res. Where did you hear that?
Yeah,
because
first off, it's not high res. It's like Deezer. It's going to be 1644, right? But no doubt. I mean, Spotify is a big company. They're territorial as all get out. Um, here's the long and the short of it. The bigger they are, the bigger we are. We've got a ton of people that have moved from Spotify. We are in our infancy in the streaming industry. People typically start off with something like really low end. How many people here started off with Pandora just to kind of get your feet wet? And then a lot of you graduated to Spotify. Most of the people that are on this forum or that are on Streaming Music Matters or Qobuz, they were Spotify people 10 minutes ago or a year ago. So the more people that get into the market, the more people that start streaming, which there's no shortage of people that are hopping into this, that next graduating class is going to be graduating. And eventually, I think a lot of people, maybe not the majority of people, but a lot more people are going to continue to graduate to higher resolution. And I believe we're going to see a really nice resurgence in the audio industry, which most of those guys in the retail side now, on the manufacturing side, are doing fantastic. I know we are just from the pandemic, people hanging out at home, but I think music reproduction is just getting better and better and better. And who wouldn't want to be at the cool kids table? So yeah, we're not scared of Spotify. I wish them the best. Dan wishes them the best because they're going to
Well,
give us their
I don't
next
know.
guys.
I don't know if I don't wish them the best, but I wish them, okay. And the whole idea of a mass market service like that offering lossless streaming after literally years of saying they would never do it and there was no interest is a pretty big development in the market. And I would say it really just validates what we've been saying, that there are a lot of people would want this, or if they knew they could get it, they would take it. And Spotify obviously has done, research beyond the scope of anything we could ever do, and the marketing that they do is beyond the scope of anything we could do. So even if we catch some people who are Googling Spotify hi-fi and get Qobuz by accident, I think it helps us. It's certainly still a small enough and an explosive enough area of the business. This high end is really just coalescing around the hardware and the services. So I think it's cool to have a mainstream service kind of giving a little bit of a nod in the direction, but we're not competing with them.
Well, here's the really cool part. When we were $25, we started out in the United States at $25 per month. We got a bunch of people in there. They were most of the people that were already into, really great gear and they just wanted to sound best. But I was thinking, man, the title's only $20. This is going to be a tough sell, but not at all. Tons and tons of people, tons and tons of people went in for the kind of high resolution that we were delivering. So I'm trying to think of where I was going with that.
Well, let's go to the next question.
Next question is a great question. Joel, thanks for being with us. Best entry level gear for those starting out on being an audiophile. Every single person at Qobuz is going to tell you exactly the same thing. If you're just starting out, let's say you want to do it like really, really inexpensively because you already own one of these, right? You download Qobuz on your on your phone. Okay, the very, very cheapest way to do it is just to get a little, the little analog adapter from Apple. I got to tell you, it doesn't sound that great, but it sounds a whole heck of a lot better than you would think it would sound. But if you want to start out just with something that Dan and I consider fantastic performance, even out of an iPhone or an iPad, you've got one there, Dan? Oh, I thought you were pulling it out.
Oh, I was looking for it on the.
I was just looking for mine too.
Wait a second, you thought I was what?
Yeah, I thought you were pulling that out. So listen, get the little dragonfly. This is the first one. It's like a little dragonfly red, or I wanted to show it to you. It's either
the cobalt.
It's a dragonfly red or a dragonfly cobalt. Either unit sounds fantastic. You just hook up a camera adapter to your phone or your iPad. Oh, look at it.
Yeah.
Nita, you are awesome. So that's what it looks like. Nita will thank you for producing. Thank you for taking care of that. That's a little dragonfly. And one side you can see is a little USB. The other side has just got an analog output. So you just get the camera kit, hook it up to the USB, hook that into your phone. Android, you would just use a
Right.
USB to mini.
Yeah.
And then out of that, you would come out of the Y connector, right, and plug it right into your hi-fi or your headphones
Headphones. There's so
or
many
your
great.
car.
Yeah, I mean, so many great headphones available now. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
you're not going to get really good sound for $10, but if you've got a couple $100, you can do incredible things. We've got a viewer here who said Cord Mojo. I mean, that's a little bit more pricey. I think those are $600 or $700, but that's an incredible DAC
What
and
is great
headphone amp for that price. There's Blue Sound units that get you into great high-res streaming
for
for
about $500. I don't think we've been given a prices. He was asking about prices. The first option that we gave you was like $10 for that little adapter. The second one with the Dragonfly, I think they start out at 190. No, they start off at $99 for the black.
$100, the black, you know,
Yeah,
they
the
go.
red.
But you know, I think there's great options in powered speakers that have streaming built in from SVS.
Oh yeah, those are
Blown
fantastic.
away by the SVS Prime Wireless. You know, you can really uh, up your game without breaking the bank. But if you want to spend $350,000, we also know the guys who you can get $350,000 speakers from. And Qobuz sounds great through all of it, as long as you've got things set up properly and you pick great music and you know, I think that as long as you take the time to listen, it's worth the investment. You know, if music is just something that's in the background for you, that's not something that is an important primary activity for you, it seems weird to think that you may spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the gear. But when you think about how much you may have spent on your TV or your home theater system or your gym membership, the money that you spend on audio gear and the amount of enjoyment that you can get out of it, I mean, I don't know. I probably don't need to sell it to you guys.
Hey, we've got another one here. I think this is going to be this. I love this question. I still can't believe that it's so misrepresented almost everywhere. There are a few people that are starting to pick up on this, but Dan, look, we both, feel the same way about this. I'm super passionate about it, but you should probably really take this. Um, are we
Artist
still
payouts.
top of the tree at artist payouts? And it just doesn't work like that. But Dan, why don't you take this one and kind of explain to people how this works and how artists are paid and how often you sit down and write out Sting a paycheck?
Yeah, it's very confusing, and people have published reports of getting great per stream rates from Qobuz, which I believe, but streaming doesn't work in a per stream universe. If you got great per stream rates from Qobuz, that's certainly a positive thing. But all streaming is paid on the same model. We pay it the same way that Spotify and others do, which is pro rata based on the market share of the supplier. It's not an individual per stream rate. It's a chunk of a pool that comes in from all the subscriptions. So when you see a per stream rate published, it's an artificially created number based on what one person saw on a statement at one time. It's kind of misinformation. That said, Qobuz does not have a free advertising supported tier, which means we don't have people who are listening to Qobuz for nothing, which means our pool of money is proportionally bigger. Also, we charge more than the mainstream streaming services. So in that sense, proportionally, you do end up making more per user with Qobuz. And probably most importantly, really in the scale we're talking about, the download store provides an opportunity for artists and rights holders actually to make more at a shop, like dollars instead of pennies, when downloads are purchased. So we really feel like we're in the court of the creators, trying to create uh, a marketplace for what they do, and focusing on the genres and the listeners that we do. It's kind of unique, and so that's the answer to that. But per stream rate, um, it's kind of misinformation.
Here's an area that that we get all the time. We work with CarPlay. We just don't work with it great.
Well, no, I mean,
Um,
that's coming. I can tell you for sure, David. I'm telling you for sure,
okay.
David. I'm telling you for sure, that at this point, if you plug your phone in with CarPlay and everything is working great, and the stars are aligned properly, and you're seated in your chair just right, it
Yay.
should work to play your local music. In other words, what you've imported onto your phone. But before I'm going to commit. Before you are putting away your summer clothes, CarPlay will support streaming and basically a much more robust Qobuz experience on the CarPlay, without having to only play your downloaded music. They're working on it. It's coming. That's really coming. So Bruce, stay tuned.
So, any chances to the Sublime Plus discounts? Any discounts on the Sublime Plus plan coming up? Yeah, like no.
Well, we
Are
changed
you
the
kidding?
name from Sublime Plus to
To run
Sublime.
a sale.
I think now it's called Sublime Premier.
Yeah,
But other than
keep
that,
changing
it's
it.
the same. And
Yeah, but no, that we're
great.
like this is all of those things, all of these plans that we're on, they're like at like super low margins. So no, don't expect a plan coming up there. But if you're in Sublime Plus and you download like 2 to 3 albums per month, which that would be the only reason you would be on a plan like that anyway, you're already paying for it. It's free. With the money that you save. So most people, we at the beginning of the show, we brought up an example of the Neil Young Harvest, which is now at Qobuz in 24,192, which is way cool. You can buy that album if you're just a civilian. You can buy it for $20, which is way cheap for an album like that at 24,192. If you're a Sublime Plus member, you buy that same album for $10.99. $10.99 for Neil Young's Harvest in 24,192 that just got released to us. So, I mean, really, no, I don't think so. But you make your own discount. Let's see. When will you separate full albums from EPs and singles and artist discography? Dan, why don't you take that? That's a work in progress.
Soon. The artist pages are being cleaned. I think the last time we did something like this, we were promising artist deduplication and disambiguation. It's improved. We're making progress, but the artist discography pages are going to be cleaned. We know there's a big issue with releases that just have a songwriting credit or some weird credits that are really polluting these pages. That's this spring. They're going to be cleaned, and exactly what you're looking for, I hope, Hawk, will be there. It's coming. Gapless playback. We should have all of our apps do gapless playback. If you're not hearing gapless playback, something's wrong.
On your side, yeah, we've been doing gapless playback since like the second month or something.
Some of the partner apps don't do it, or don't do.
Well,
That's not it.
I think was it Chromecast that did do.
Yeah, but let's not even get into it, because
so it is gapless.
Where we control it, it's gapless.
Right. So if you're not getting gapless, it's the hardware that you're using.
Also, there's certain DAC issues occasionally where they just Unfortunately, it's impossible to make everything work with every bit of hardware in every situation. But with some things, it works every time.
Yeah, I apologize for looking away. I'm trying to, this isn't something that we always very, very seldom do, but I'm really trying to get all of the questions asked. Oh, thank you, Neetha. I come from the French part of Switzerland. Could you tell me if if alive could be?
They want us to do it in French. Mais ouais, en français, c'est possible. But we don't really speak French. There are guys on the team in France who probably would love to host something like this, but at this point, we're just doing English. However, I think that the Facebook, you're watching it on YouTube, but in Facebook, there are subtitles, which, well, I don't know. There's ways to translate things if where there's a will, there's a way.
This is a really good one, and we happen to be on the upswing of this journey. So really, competition in high res audio, how tough has it been? I kind of would ask the other guys that we're really the disruptor here. We came in with true high resolution at $15 a month. So you would have to ask our competition, because the competition doesn't. We're not even at that point that the competition would be bothering us. We're still doing the hockey stick thing. Maybe at some point that will be a factor, but right now I would say.
Unless this guy is asking about the German company, High Res Audio, isn't that another streaming service in Europe? In which case,
well,
it doesn't affect us here.
Yeah, right. And to be clear, we are a US based Qobuz. So if you've got European questions, you can still ask them to us, but this is primarily for our audience here that we service. But we love having you from all over the world. So if you're here, please feel welcome. Who determines which albums get booklets? Good question. I wish Suzanne were here, but I think
it's the labels and the distributors. They have to supply the booklets to us. We often go back and ask them if they can supply them if they haven't with key releases, but unfortunately, it's up to the label to create and supply the booklets. But it is great, and as far as I know, there is no other service that puts the booklets right in the app the way we do. So we try to get it. Anyway, thank you, Vincent, en Suisse. I don't speak French, by the way. Any French you're hearing, I've put together in the 3 years that I've worked for Qobuz.
Yeah, and you guys know me well enough to know I wouldn't even attempt to
French.
do that.
Whoever sees Siri support, yeah, I mean, voice in general is an area that we would love to be able to get into faster, but it is a huge lift that requires, before we can even really get into voice, a lot of search and database improvements and metadata improvements before we can even get to voice. So stick with us, Rich.
Okay, here's a good one. I downloaded from the Qobuz app to my hi-fi Astel Currents player so I can play HD in my car. Is it my imagination, or do the files I purchased from Qobuz download store sound better than the songs I play from the download or streaming from my app or on the Astel Currents player? They're the same. They're most likely the same player, all the same file. Although we do have a whole lot of different formats that you can download what you buy from. But if you're getting a different sound than you get from another place, it's the same ones and zeros. It's got to be the digital path. It's got to be the way the DAC's configured, or
I know it's different. I'm going to tell you what Kent is doing, probably, if it sounds different. If you're buying files from our download store and putting them on your player and comparing that to Qobuz streaming on your player, one is using the Astel and Kern path, their player app. The other one is our app. So it may be the same ones and zeros, but it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison.
Right.
Uh, I saw this question before from Facebook user. Sounds like a Rune issue. That one we can't help with. I mean, Rune NAD won't play. Dirac engaged. Again, there's so
Oh
many
yeah,
different
that's
configurations.
there's no way for us to be able
Yes.
to know that. But the guys at NAD are I found them to be super, super approachable, and I hear their customer service is really good. But that's not really something that we could answer. That's not us. Let's see. Any way for users to report correct mistakes, the database. Do we even have that?
Um,
I was just thinking about that
yeah,
the other day.
meters misidentified. You know what? It's not misidentified. It's metadata parsing issues that we're aware of. We're trying to get it fixed. It's kind of rampant on certain things where there are sidemen and jazz credits. Um, if you see something really egregious, a good place to post is on Streaming Music Matters, because David and I are in there. I mean, we can fix that stuff on a case by case basis, but there's really some deeper problems in the way certain metadata gets parsed, and you see sometimes some crazy artist things. Hey, just being honest, James.
In anytime, because we do have people. In fact, I just got sent off a couple this week. Anytime Dan and I receive information like that, we just pass it on. We pass it right on to the team that can correct it. Hopefully, they get to it pretty quickly. But human beings do look at when you but we just don't have a form. I think it'd be really kind of cool to have a form. What we do have a form for, however, I'm posting right now, um, because a lot of you folks call me up and go, Dave, can you get the album, blah 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 from somebody? Okay, dude,
Flipping the
I
kid
can't
or
do
something.
this for only six people. So we've got this form that you can fill out if you run across something that we don't have that you would like to have, fill out the form, please, though, because they've got the same, the same bottlenecks hit the people in France as well. If you don't put the form in more than once, because that just slows the whole process down, because now they're looking again and somebody else may be at work, so just put the form in once. But this form works. Humans look at it, and if we can get it, we will. Most likely, as Dan says from time to time, if you've requested something and you just don't see it, there's a really good chance that it's just not available to us at that particular time.
Right, right. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, the one thing, don't enter stuff more than once. There's a few really bad offenders out there, and we appreciate your passion, but it doesn't make us able to try any harder. Certainly to get things, we just don't have the licensing deals. Either, we can try to get the licensing deals, or it can be, not possible. The surest thing is if something is not on any other streaming service, we probably can't get it. Feel free to send it our way, but don't get your hopes up. If it's on every other streaming service and it's on a big label or it's a very well-known release, it's likely that it could be a mistake. So definitely let us know, because sometimes it's just a matter of us fixing something in the back end. So we do appreciate it. But the things that, again, you've got some album from the 70s that you've loved and you're like, well, it'd be great to hear this on Qobuz. Yeah, it would be great to hear it. But if it's not on the bigger guys, it's probably not available digitally. So we do our best. But to that, that said, we're constantly signing new deals with additional independent labels that we haven't previously had. And some of the big independent aggregators are just starting to deliver to us. I mean, I think I might have said TuneCore, um, uh, uh, a year ago, and I thought we were going to have it soon. I think now we're just a couple of weeks away from getting TuneCore. DistroKid was recently signed, so that one will start to get those. And those aren't just hobbyists and really small micro artists. There's a lot of bigger, formerly major label artists who've gotten their rights back, who end up, re-releasing their catalogs through those aggregators. So I would say, by the end of this year, there really should be almost nothing that the big streams services, the bigger streaming services have that we don't. Except that we'll have it in every case in the best possible quality, whether that's lossless CD or high res, and you'll also have me and David, which no other streaming service will be able to boast. Qobuz merch. Yes, we talk about T-shirts every week, and we've gone so far as to design the T-shirts. We are
going
going
to order some. We're going to have some samples sent to us in the next few weeks, and then we'll wear them on Qobuz Live. And if people go, "Hey, I want to buy that," then I think we'll probably. Dan's given us the kind of
it's so easy.
Go ahead to do it.
It's so easy. I mean, I've been trying to get the French interested in supporting it, and they just, I think we're just going to do it, but it's coming. This is a good question from Phil. Phil, I know you're a power user, and in fact, we do have copies on our server. All that we do when we get the music from the labels, we analyze it. We don't apply volume normalization, but we do take what comes in as a lossless wave file in 16-bit or 24-bit, and we turn it into a lossless FLAC. So no data lost, but a conversion. And then we take the 24-bit, if that's what we got, and we create a 16-bit version that you stream, and we create a 320K version if you need to take it all the way down to MP3 in your stream. If we get a 16-bit version as the best, we create the 320 MP3, and we keep those on the server. It's not adaptive streaming. You're actually getting a file that has been created to stream at that bit rate. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I'm reading it a little bit differently. Which the feature that Dan mentioned it's a crazy good feature, especially mobile. You were talking about actually lowering the stream resolution, right, Dan?
Yeah, that's what
you were talking about.
That's what he's talking about. Drop the resolution down in the app.
Oh, in the app, right? Okay, well, but just in case somebody's reading that the way that I dyslexically read it when I first did read it, sometimes there's like a 2496 high res copy. And then there's the 16-bit copy. If the 16-bit copy was most likely the one that was released on CD, and then the 2496 or whatever the high res, that's another. That's
different. Then there's
right.
What those are is different products basically that have been released to us, and the labels have a lot. Like a lot of times, it's actually kind of redundant, but the labels do it anyway for whatever reason. And what's going to happen when we clean up our discographies the way we've been talking about, it's going to clean up a lot of those redundant albums and really help make it clearer. So you just see the different versions of an individual album and not 20 different things that you can't differentiate between. So that is coming. And good question, Phil.
Yeah, really good question. Thanks a lot. I was out the other day on a rare trip out these days, and I had set my phone to the highest resolution that it could receive, and so I'm coming back from a trip to the Goodwill. I was dropping off some clothes, and it's always fun to go in there, especially if you live in a really cool part of town, because they actually give away cool stuff. And so I ended up buying a cowbell. So I'm on the way home, but I know what I'm going to put on before I get in the car. I mean, I've got the cowbell in my hand. I bought this thing, by the way, for like $2.99, and it's like the real thing. So I'm coming home. And so I put on, Leslie West, Mississippi Queen, right? You buy a cowbell. That's what you got to. That's what you got to play on the way home. So I start playing Mississippi Queen, and all of a sudden it starts cutting out, and I'm going, oh crud! And so I look at my app, and I'm going, oh yeah, I'm asking the stream, right? And it's not that great of a cellular area up there anyway. So I brought it back down to MP3 because it's Mississippi Queen, right? This isn't like Beethoven's Fifth. All of a sudden it comes on, didn't quit. So if you are having problems streaming when you're on mobile, drop it down to 1644. Most networks like handle 1644, but if you've got like a really crappy network, go ahead and drop it down to 320 in your app. We're still sending out 1644 or 2496. You're only accepting that, that limited bandwidth because of your service, but that is a good trick.
The time has probably come to say last call for questions. We're at about an hour. It seems
Thank
like
you
it's
all for joining us.
slowing down a little bit. The last question about an Android update. I think that they told us that there's a new build coming this month, right?
Yeah, I think they said like within a couple of weeks it's going to be live. So that means 1 month in French.
A couple of weeks means a month. But absolutely, we've seen tell of the next release on Android, so it's coming. But yeah, everybody for the questions, and if there's stuff we didn't get to in the webcast, we'll go back in and answer the questions in the chat. And yeah, we forgot to really plug the 6-month free accounts that we're giving away. So put your email address in the form. And we'd love to get people who haven't heard Qobuz to give it a try. And a 6-month free subscription is a really good way to do it. Because after we know if we give it to you for free for 6 months, you are signing up, unless you have catastrophic financial because you can't go back. I mean, ask any of the people in this chat; they'll tell you. Phil Metcalf will tell you can't go back to lossy streaming after you've heard. Something a lot of people say it's the way it was meant to be heard, but it certainly wasn't meant to be heard as a totally compressed, lossy, afterthought of a stream. So thanks everybody.
Thanks everybody for coming.
US Hawk, you can enter the contest. We'll give you subscription in Hawkland. Hawk 999. Please enter if you're in other countries. Our codes will work there too.
Yeah. And thank you. Next week we've got, I think, Phil, right?
Phil from Neil Young Archives and author of Feeling the Music book with Neil Young. So yeah, we'll get all the information up about that in the next 24 hours, probably. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next Thursday.